All right, guys. Shoot Your Shot Sports, Fantasy Football Lifeline, Week 7. This is Richie Chicago, and I'm joined by our fantasy football expert, Jay Ballar, and we're here to help
you
suck
less.
And this is sponsored by Thrive Fantasy, the daily fantasy sports app for player props. Use promo code Lifeline, and they will match you up to $50 on your first deposit, minimum $20. So go ahead, check it out on the App Store and Google Play Store today. So be sure to check back in this Thursday for our Thursday night football contest picks. And so I guess this become pretty standard week in, week out. What were the injuries from the weekend?
Yeah, it's always, I feel like, the best place for us to start here, Rich. It's never seems to fail. So we another top 10 running back goes down. Miles Sanders. It looks like it's going to be fairly minor, 1 to 2 weeks situation where I think depending on the schedule, if they weren't playing the Giants, they might force him a little sooner. But he's going to be out 1 to 2 weeks. I think the bigger injury that came out of that Philly game is Zach Ertz. Looks like he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, maybe a little bit less, just kind of depending how he does. I'll discuss kind of both of the people towards the top of our waiver wire this week, so I'll dive into that as well. Mostert, again, the guy's been electric when he's on the field. He's looking like he's got a high ankle sprain. Everything I saw today was we're looking at the IR for him. Mark Ingram went down. Again, he's going into a bye week. That's something that J.K. Dobbins owners have been looking at as could be a really beneficial thing for their season. Anything happens to Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins is going to really, really thrive in that offense. That'll be something worth monitoring. They're not going to give us any kind of report until next week. So unless he needs to go to the IR, I don't foresee us knowing much until they come back to practice next Tuesday, next Wednesday. Devontae Parker, he was unable to finish up that game against the Jets. Again, they're on a bye week as well. It's one of those things where they were destroying the Jets. So, I don't know how serious the injury really is. But again, worth monitoring if he's out for any period of time. We got Tua there. It's Tua time finally in Miami. And Preston Williams should be a pretty good fill-in for Devontae Parker. I'm going to be trying to pick up Preston Williams just because I think there's got to be a reason Tua's coming in. Fitz has looked good. They could go and win that division this year. I don't think they're throwing Tua out there unless they think that he gives them a better shot to win football games. So, and then Jonnu Smith, he got his ankle rolled up on, and again, they don't think it's too serious. This has been a weird year. The Titans are 5-0. Jonnu's been clutch in that offense. So if he doesn't play, keep an eye on it, monitor it. But my guess is he'll be suiting up this week, barring something going really wrong in practice this week. But hey, something to monitor. Unfortunately, this has been probably the best week with injuries, and we're sitting here with 6 guys that were potentially in starting lineups. It's wild. It's wild. So it's Miles Sanders was really starting to come on. Carson Wentz is playing a little bit better. Ertz hasn't done anything this year. He's not lived up to where he's been drafted. So it's a situation where if every time I see a quarterback run now, I'm like, get down, get on the turf. I'm afraid, every time I see someone get hit, it's getting scary. Here we're halfway through the fantasy football season, barring the regular season. That is, we got 30. Most leagues do 13 weeks in the regular season, and it's been it's been wild keeping your teams out of the infirmary. So how have you done with injuries? How's your team been?
It's not bad. So I know I had I avoid a lot of injuries. I've been facing people with injuries, but somehow I would lose depending on the waiver wire who they would pick up, obviously. But it was interesting. I'm dodging them back and forth. So I won in one league and I lost in another league. So I guess it depends, with injuries and all that.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of people that took losses this weekend going against waiver wire teams. People that were literally living off the waiver wire. Guys like Mike Davis have been pretty solid. Keelan Cole had another great 18 points this weekend. You got Justin Jefferson, I was high on him. I
Killed
drafted
it.
him.
Yeah.
Of course, I dropped him after week 3. I would be sitting really pretty. I had to do things. I had to go after McKinnon for the depth with Mostert. But hey, it's this is a weird part of the year. The waiver wire is starting to really get really bleak. And I'm guessing that's probably what you're seeing in your league. That's what I'm getting from,
Oh yeah.
especially in these bigger. I've got people in 14 team leagues, 16 team leagues, 18 team leagues, and the options are becoming very, very slim. But yeah, we'll dive in this. We'll dive into what we're looking at this week. But it's one of those where if you have a waiver wire spot, I'm recommending keeping it. If you're up in the top 1, 2, 3, top 4, I'm holding on to that spot until I say, or there's a clear cut injury where you feel good about jumping up and getting to that. Some of the top guys. I don't see this week as being one of those weeks. Well, again, if you have Miles Sanders, if you have Zach Ertz, you're going to need to fill him in with somebody, and that's kind of where we're going to start today. So, no, who all we got on bye this week? What's the bye situation look like?
Yeah, so we have the Colts, the Dolphins, the Ravens, and the Vikings. So yeah, what's your take on that this week?
So with the Ravens, most people are playing Lamar Jackson and Marquise Brown, playing their defense. I recommend going out. The defensive waiver wire has been absolutely crazy this year. I dropped the Bucks thinking that the Packers were going to just destroy them, and then the Bucks defense has one of the best defensive weekends of the year. Did not see that one coming. I've started to look into the future. I'm 5-1 in one of my leagues. Nice. I have like an 86% chance of going to the playoffs. I'm looking at who is my defense going to be playing week 14, week 15, week 16. I'm recommending to everybody I talk to, go out there and get that Cleveland Browns defense. Cleveland Browns defense plays the New York Giants week 15, plays the New York Jets week 16. So if you think you're going to be in the playoffs and you can give up potentially some points week in, week out, as their schedule's not easy. They have the Steelers again. They got the Ravens again. I think they got the Saints on there. They were a top 5 defense. They have maybe the defensive player of the year in Myles Garrett. But again, the defensive side of the ball is going to be, going to be a little awkward. I recommend going with the projections. I usually stream up until I want to lock in on a team that I like going into the playoffs. But no, Dolphins. I played Fitz last week. I played Devontae Parker last week. They've had decent games. Gaskin has been a great fill-in. He's an RB2. Colts, maybe people were starting Jonathan Taylor. He's had a slow season. So I think what it really benefits is those Dalvin Cook owners. They want to see Dalvin Cook come in, get another week of rest, hopefully bounce back after the bye week. That's the I really don't see a ton of no QBs are going to need to be streamed here unless you had Lamar. Likely you're going to be able to pick someone up pretty quickly. Most people that had Lamar Jackson always have a backup just because he runs so much. He does put himself in a little bit more risk. If you didn't, I recommend got Carson Wentz out there. He's throwing the ball a little better. Justin Herbert, probably the last time I'll say his name here. Guy's got 3 straight 20-point performances. So I'm running, if you're able to get Herbert, do it. If you're able to get Wentz, do it. Outside of, the waiver wire picks, just add drop. But from a waiver wire standpoint, Ryan Tannehill's looking like he could be a top 5 fantasy quarterback this year. He's had multiple 30-point games. I was afraid. I'll be honest. I lost Dak Prescott last week. I went with Tannehill and I went with Fitz. I put Fitz in my lineup. I figured I'd kind of bounce back between those guys. I was afraid Fitz and Derrick Henry are going to have trouble scoring in the same offense. I own both of those players. They have literally proven that they can both score 40 points in the same week. So again, I'm not afraid. Vrabel's coming into his own. That's a really, really good offense. They did lose their left tackle, Taylor Lewan, this week. I think they're going to be able to plug and play along that line. I don't see Henry's value going down. But Tannehill, he's going to get Corey Davis back. He's going to get Adam Humphries back healthy.
Killing it.
He's got A.J. Brown. Jonnu Smith is going to be just fine. And, man, they're going to be playing for first place till the end of the year. I like this Titans team. They're who I play with on Madden every night. So they're a lot of fun to watch. So if Ryan Tannehill's out there on the waiver wire, he's my number one target because He's playing better than Matt Ryan. He's right behind Josh Allen, Russell Wilson. Kyler Murray's putting up the points. Deshaun Watson finally broke out. I'm having, Watson and Tannehill, they line up right. They've had about the same season. One was drafted in the top 3, 4, or 5 rounds. One was probably not even drafted. I've been sharing a graphic that ESPN put out, over the last 16 games, comparison between Tannehill and Patrick Mahomes, and they're almost identical, but Tannehill has like 4 more passing touchdowns, and it's mind-boggling to me what he's been able to put together since he left or since he took that job over from Mariota. So I'm on the Tannehill train. I know people. I recommend always don't get too invested in your own players. Don't give that advice to it's something I've always done, but I'm high on Tannehill. If he's out there, I'm wanting to snag him if I need to upgrade a quarterback, because I think that I always want good players on the best teams. Those are going to be the people that really get it done for you at the end of the year. Ryan Tannehill's getting it done on one of the best teams in football. So went a little long there, but hey, that's why I'm wasting a pick on. I'm wasting my number 1 waiver wire pick on Tannehill. So diving into the replacements here for Miles Sanders. Boston Scott was the guy, came in, took all the touches over. Again, he's not going to be a world beater for you guys. This is not a guy that's going to step in like Mike Davis and basically be the exact same thing as Miles Sanders was. He's a stopgap. He'll give you a fill-in while Sanders is out for a couple weeks. Of course, I say that, and he's going to go out Thursday against the Giants. He probably scores 4 touchdowns, but I don't see him as that guy. And just behind him, Travis Fulgham has put his 3rd straight good game together, 2 straight weeks with 10 targets. He's he's a guy that's going to be good until Deshaun Jackson comes back, Alshon Jeffrey comes back. You got Goddard coming back this week. There's just nobody to throw the ball to there, and he's the biggest body. He's the guy getting the touches now. But Jeffrey steps in that offense. Deshaun Jackson steps in that offense. You got Jalen Reagor, who still has to come back from a thumb injury. I don't like Fulgham's long term. Again, this is why this week's waiver wire is kind of ugly. I don't like him long term, but if you need to fill a spot this week, he's going to be the guy in Philly this week. Catching, I would say, predominantly all. It's a short week. I don't see Jeffrey coming back. If he couldn't play Sunday, he's probably not going to be able to play Thursday. Fulgham's going to be worth starting again. The Giants' defense is okay, but I think that Wentz, that last quarter against the Ravens, that was the Carson Wentz I'm used to seeing, not the guy we've seen the rest of the season. Another goddamn Philadelphia Eagle here, Dallas Goedert. He started the year hot, and now these Ertz owners were really worried. I think Goddard is a guy, if you need a tight end, if you're sitting there and you hate your tight end week in, week out because they aren't doing anything, Goddard's a guy that's gonna be able to fill in, even when Ertz comes back. He was doing all that with Ertz on the field. Again, if Carson Wentz can get his act together, Dallas Goedert will be a top 10 tight end. And if you're needing one, really take a shot on him, because I think that he's going to have a solid back into the season. A couple of guys we saw really go off this weekend. I talked about Keelan Cole. He's been owned, unowned, owned. He's been a really, I've seen him bounce off the waiver wire about every other week, just kind of depending on bye weeks. Again, if you need a guy that's going to, if DJ Chark is out, Keelan Cole's a guy worth going after if you really need to put a wide receiver in there. I've talked about Christian Kirk and Tim Patrick multiple times on the show. Christian Kirk looked great against an absolutely awful Cowboys defense. I don't know what else we expected, but it looks like if he can get, he gets the touches, the guy's got some explosiveness. He's the number 2 there in Arizona after DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins had 2 catches going into the fourth quarter, and there wasn't a lot of offense. The Cowboys fumbled again. It's an anomaly, but again, if you're looking to put some depth on your bench, anything happens to Hopkins, Christian Kirk's going to become a wide receiver 1, and he's going to be startable most weeks. Preston Williams, I know he's on a bye, and he's got Tua coming in, but with Devontae Parker already, it might be hurting a little bit. Preston Williams is likely going to be able to. You're probably going to be able to get him outside of the waiver wire this week. So somebody you're going to want to look at down the line. If you can put some depth on your bench, Preston Williams is somebody that he's coming on. He's finally getting healthy. He finally looks like the guy that I expected him to be. Granted, of course, I've dropped him, and he's since been picked up because these injuries have been something else. But if you're able to put some depth on your bench, Preston Williams is somebody that I'm taking a look at this week. And then Running backs. Yeah, again, with bye weeks here, I don't know where your injuries are at. I don't know how many people are in your league. J.D. McKissick, he's got 3 straight games with 6 catches out of the backfield there in Washington. And LaMichael Pirine, he is the youngest, most athletic running back in New York. Of course, we jumped off the show last week, and the second we jumped off the show, they tweeted Le'Veon Bell was being released. That we could have really, we could have went live with that. We could have been the
Yeah, I
people that
know.
broke that news. But I don't love anybody on the Jets. Jamison Crowder's okay, but if you need a running back really badly, P. Ryan is technically the number 1 running back on the depth chart. I mean, I know we got Frank Gore there, but Frank Gore's older than Tom Brady at this point. I think those legs are going to slow down. P. Ryan's probably the guy that's going to be there towards the back end of the year. He's probably going to be available in your leagues. That's really that's where it ends. And I mean, man, this is an ugly week. I've been pretty excited about most of these. Again, in my leagues, a lot of these guys are owned, but I go by the stats I see online. I try to stick between, I do an aggregate of everything. I try to stick between 50% owned. Most of those guys are right around that 50 point. So if you have a chance to get them, I'm going after those guys because these guys can score and help you win games.
Nice. What are your thoughts, really quick, on Tua? Because I know Fitz is actually out, and then Tua's in now for Miami. They broke today.
So Tua's in. I touched on a little bit earlier. If the Dolphins are in that division, that the Dolphins are a good football team. Brian Flores is a good coach. They went after Le'Veon Bell hard. They offered Le'Veon a lot of money and a multi-year deal. And again, I don't blame the guy. He goes to the Kansas City Chiefs, the most likely team to win a championship. Again, and if he goes and wins a championship, he's going to be able to get himself another contract. The guy's still 28 with fresh legs, but we'll talk about that here in a second as well because I got some thoughts on that.
Yeah.
But Tua, you're not going to put Tua Tagovailoa in the lineup unless you think he helps you win games. Unless you think he's better than Ryan Fitzpatrick, I don't think you put him in there. Again, I could be completely wrong, but if you play to win the game, all Herm Edwards saying, they're not going to put Tua out there unless they honestly believe he gives them a better shot at winning football games than Ryan Fitzpatrick. I watched the guy for 5 plays. He threw 2 balls, and it was awesome. He has a rifle, man, and
it's electric.
Still can't. It's like watching Michael Vick all over again.
Yeah.
The guy is a gamer. I mean, I still remember the first experience with the guy coming in at halftime of an Alabama game and winning a goddamn national championship. I'm like, who is this kid? And it doesn't look right. It reminds me when Drew Brees first came into the league and he's this little short guy throwing as hard as he can. But hey, am I going and running and grabbing him on fantasy just yet? Maybe not. Again, I have Fitz, so I'm thinking about it. I'm tossing it around.
Yeah.
There's not a lot out there. I'm probably taking a more known commodity like Carson Wentz right now. He's available in about every league. But hey, if you have a good starting quarterback, you get a chance to take a shot, and you got somebody like Tua who can come in and throw 4 touchdowns pretty easily. Guy's got a rocket. He's got Preston Williams. He's got Devontae Parker. He's got Adam Shaheen, former Chicago Bear. He's looking like a world beater down there.
Yeah, I know, right?
Gesicki, they got the weapons, they got the attitudes, they're winning football games. My thought is you win games in the NFL, and you put your best foot forward, you put your best quarterback in the game to win games, and they wouldn't be putting him in if they didn't think he could win.
Definitely.
So another piece that you kind of mentioned on, I brought up was the Le'Veon Bell going to Kansas City. We didn't get a chance to talk about that much last week because it happened, between our shows here.
Quick. Yeah.
Right now you're in a cool situation if you own Clyde Edwards-Helaire because he just had his best game of his career. He looked great.
It's so dope.
He looked great last night. If the Chiefs are going to win games running the football. Again, I probably would try to get what you can out of Edwards-Helaire right now. I do think he stays the bell cow back there in Kansas City. I honestly think Le'Veon, he will be better than he was on the Jets. If you own him in fantasy, you don't need to trade him because you already drafted him. He's already in your flex position. He's going to be a viable flex option. He's going to get 10 to 12 touches. They didn't bring him in to not give him the damn ball. So I fear, again, you're not starting these guys, but it bumps everybody down a tier. I think it hurts people like Tyreek Hill a little bit. I think he's going to be a slot. He's going to play in the slot just like Tyreek Hill does. He's going to be running those little pitch catches that they throw to all those guys at the end zone. I think it hurts Kelsey a little bit because Le'Veon Bell is known to find the end zone. The guy he can sniff it out. He's patient. When you draw a play correctly, Le'Veon Bell's the guy you want touching the ball because he's a stud when it comes to that, putting the ball in the end zone. He's not had that chance in 3 years. So I'm keeping Le'Veon. I'm keeping all these guys, keeping Tyreek Hill, but if Tyreek Hill is your number one wide receiver, I would sell high because I do think he's going to be the most affected. You're not going to trade Travis Kelce. You're not going to trade Patrick Mahomes. I'm not owning Demarcus Robinson. I'm not owning Hardman. I'm not owning Sammy Watkins. I just think everybody bumps off. I'm dropping those guys. I'm keeping Kelce, Edwards-Helaire, again, trying to maybe trade while he's hot, while his stock is high. It's going to take Le'Veon a couple of weeks, but my fear is if you get to the playoffs or you get to the championship with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I'm not feeling very comfortable, coming down the back end of the season. I think that Le'Veon's going to be, have his claws into that offense, and that scares me. So it's a situation worth watching. That we know that's an offense that can score enough points to feed everybody. But hey, if Edwards-Helaire is your number 2 running back, I'm keeping him. If he's your number 1, I'm thinking about selling high and getting some depth. Le'Veon, I'm keeping. Watkins, those guys, they can. They're going to be back on the waiver wire.
Nice. And then I had one last question. What about what's it called? The Red Rifle.
I
know it was a bad game yesterday. But, I mean, I could have been a fluke.
It's the guy can play football. I don't know. I was really high on him coming in. I don't know if you guys know. I know Richie now. I'm a diehard Cowboys fan. I kind of noted that last week. I try to play and not be a homer. Granted, I'm always very high on Zeke. I think he's one of the top 3, fantasy running backs. I'm always high on Dak. He's been a top 5 fantasy quarterback the last 2 or 3 years. In that offense, they're going to be playing from behind a lot. Unfortunately, the Cardinals defense is not that good. And there should have been a lot more out of Andy Dalton. I'm a little afraid of that offense now. If I have Cooper, if I have Lamb, if I have Schultz, mainly because there's no offensive line. Zach Martin went down. We're now starting 5 guys that weren't starting week 1. That's not good. They're in Dallas. And it's going to hurt the value of Zeke. It's going to hurt the value of Lamb. It's going to hurt the value of Cooper. If Andy Dalton can't stand in the pocket and make throws, he's not somebody I'm starting. I think I'm owning him because, again, that offense goes, man. You saw what Dak could do. And, it's just like Fitzpatrick in Miami. He can put up 30 points pretty easily if the game plan's the right plan, if he gets the game going. What really hurt the Cowboys, there was a couple bad calls. Dalton forced a couple bad throws. Zeke had 2 fumbles. They could not – there was absolutely no rhythm with the offense at all. Not one drive felt good. So –
even that last one with the touchdown – I was like, he's not going to – it was, horrible. I was not, it was so crazy.
It just doesn't today they came at the coaches pretty hard. The players have stayed pretty quiet there in Dallas. This went from one of the most fun to watch fantasy offenses to I'm getting a little definitely getting a little worried if I own some of these guys because there's going to be a lot more weeks like this. They have the Steelers coming up. They have the Ravens coming up. The Giants defense is better. The Philadelphia Eagles defense is a little bit better than they were. There's going to be teams that can play decent defense against them, and the Cowboys defense is still non-existent.
Awesome.
Dog.
No worries. All right, so I think that's about
That's
it.
all.
Yeah.
That's all I got. Hey, best of luck everybody this week. Let them know we got a new Twitter handle. I'm gonna go live on Sundays at 10:30. Some start sit advice. We had some people last week asking where I was. I wasn't ready. I was a little too hungover. Promise it won't happen again.
No worries. Yeah, so we're on Twitter now. The Twitter handle is FB_Lifeline. And then J-Ball will be monitoring it as the week progresses. You can shoot him any questions you have. You can DM us. We'll send it through. So this Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Central, he'll be live tweeting starting set recommendations and all that. So it'll be cool. And then you'll get all like the fantasy score updates throughout the whole day. So yeah, I'll do that all day on Sunday, like literally every score. Like it was awesome. Like
that's really cool.
Tune. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So
I already sit there and stare at the TV all morning. So might as well help everybody out there in Twitter world.
Yeah, I was red zone on this like locked in like score tweet. It's like awesome.
Always, I love it. Well, hey man, I appreciate it. Let us know if you need any help, guys, and we'll see you next Tuesday. We're live now. So
yeah, all right. See you guys.